Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update on commodities. We'll take a look and I'll give you my financial opinion. We'll go through all the sectors, the dollar, 10-year, 30-year yield, precious metals, and work our way through different commodities and ETFs to gauge where the money's flowing, what it looks like, to see what the chart patterns look like, and what people are doing. So let's dive right in. We'll start with the dollar, the DXY, and get our work our way through it. So dollar's bouncing higher today, 0.83%. I do have this big long-term trend line, this white trend line coming through all the way through here, and we're sitting right on top of that trend line. So if you were to look at it from a daily perspective, we broke out, came back, used this as support, came back to support. And are we going to go higher here? Are we going to go lower? I would say, historically, when looking at the overall markets, and you look at the commodity bull market, we usually see this fall lower on the back half of the commodity bull market. Now, what increases the dollar is really kind of increasing interest rates. And it's the relative strength of this currency versus other currencies, and it's the relative tightness of that currency or the interest rates in relationship to the tightness of those other currencies. Hopefully I said that and it's understandable. The dollar is, the monetary conditions are tighter in the dollar than other currencies, leading to the dollar going up. I think those conditions will exist further, and I think that inflation will also find it'll resurge here, I think, as I think oil and natural gas is going to go up this winter and probably next year. That will be an inflationary pressure in the system. It all depends on the Federal Reserve, what they want to do, if they're going to do QE and try to hold these interest rates down with yield curve control. So the dollar is nothing more than a function of inflation and interest rates in the system. That's kind of how I view it. I know maybe it's a little bit more complex than that, but that's how I view it in the short term. We are seeing interest rates continue higher. We have not broken that downtrend line yet. So we were up today, up 1.67%. It did not break through this trend line. It is holding at this time. And that's something that we're going to continue to monitor on a day-to-day basis. TLT, which is bond prices, heading lower. And we're looking to see if this big old fat trend, which is massive, coming on down, and that momentum is going to reverse, which means the interest rates are actually going to reverse and go lower. Right now, we are in an uptrend with interest rates, bond prices lower, and bonds are continuing to sell off in terms of pricing. The 30-year bond continues to move higher. Nice, strong day today, 1.82%. These yields going higher and the dollar going higher does put downward pressure, just overall, not every single day, but overall, it puts downward pressure on precious metals and a little bit on commodities. But I'm going to put a huge but in there. Oil is the number one commodity. It's one of the largest traded in a lot of these CRB indexes. And I do think it has an impact on yields going higher. So yields going up and oil going up together are common to see. TYX and TNX, that ratio, it is heading a little bit. It's basically flat today, only up 0.14%. So the CRB index, we were up today. Oil was down, and same with the yields. But we're seeing some interesting positioning in the markets. So CRB was up today, and we'll get through all this. CRB to S&P 500 up today for the CRB index. Is this a double top, or we could potentially head lower? It's possible. And the big picture view, though, commodities, I think, will outperform. We could see a pullback in the short term where the S&P 500 has a bear market rally. Think of this as kind of like a wave here. And then we get a pullback, and then we head on higher later. So again, these things are complex. They're not super simple. And there are loose correlations between all of these different things like the dollar, the yields, and so forth. Gold, with that stronger yield and stronger dollar, on a daily basis was down today. It did finish strong. We also have a declining M2 money supply. Your M2 money supply, it has been declining since March. That does track, gold does track this M2 money supply, and we have been heading a little bit lower in it. So it's not surprising to see gold pull back, given the M2 money supply, given the yields and dollar. Silver also heading a little bit lower, but this still looks good to me. We're getting these wicks at the bottom, which means when it does sell off, buyers come in and buy it back up. So that still looks good for me. Broken down trend, moving sideways. I'm just looking for the buying pressure to step in and push us higher here. Platinum, a little bit more selling pressure today. We have broken out of this kind of trend. I know I've got it drawn there. I drew it on a long-term perspective. And we could see a return move and then a move on higher. So I still think platinum looks good on a long-term perspective. Chart looks great. Now we're just waiting for buyers to step in and push us higher. XEU to gold ratio, gold and silver mining companies underperforming gold a little bit. So we did see a down day in GDX and SILJ. The overall big picture, we do have higher lows. That's where I've drawn in here. Higher lows in there. It's not, it's salvageable, and we're right on support of this short-term trend line. GDX, yep, heading a little bit lower today, down 2.25 or 27%. There it is, bouncing off this resistance line that we've got. Just basically grinding sideways on the short-term basis in a support resistance zone. SILJ also sitting on top of support. Still looks okay. I don't see any reversal candlesticks where we're going to blow to the downside, at least not yet. And then looking at crude oil. Crude oil was down today, but I'm seeing a lot of positioning in XOP and the energy service companies. So we've broken this downtrend. That looks good. Step one is breaking the downtrend. Step two is a higher low, which we have. We are moving sideways. Get a little wick at the bottom. Some buyers came in late, bought it up a little bit, but it still looks good. Natural gas heading higher, up 10.5% today, and it's looking quite strong. So we touched this trend line down here. This looks really good for anybody who's in the finding value community. You know what to do. You know the companies I like and all that. But we're heading higher for natural gas. We've got XOP also looking very good. We're on top of support. We had a nice little wick at the bottom. That's a hammer candlestick. We also have a bullish engulfing, bullish piercing candlestick today. This does look like to me that we want to go higher. That people are positioning in the oil and production companies before the price of crude oil moves. This looks like positioning. So the big guys are positioning. They're positioning in the oil service companies. Nice, good bullish engulfing. Again, guys, if you're part of the Finding Value community that we created, the website community, we've got a bullish engulfing here. I thought, hey, maybe we could pull back a little bit more. It is getting some buying pressure here. You know the companies I like. Go check out my portfolio. You can see all my energy service companies if you are interested in looking at those. Go ahead and check my portfolio out. Those are the ones I really like. This does look like it wants to go higher. I would be looking at those companies now. UX1, this is uranium futures pricing. We have a little bloody nose right there starting today. It's just a small little down day. We don't know if it's going to end this week there, but it still looks good. No concern yet from a long-term perspective. The Sprott Physical Uranium Trust just moving sideways at 1758. So we'll go to the dailies there. We're resting just below the resistance line. This long-term resistance line goes across here. We're right underneath it. Sometimes we get underneath it, we rest a little bit, and then we break. Pull back, gone. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for stronger pricing in the futures contracts, the short term, and I'm looking for this to break to the upside for the Sprott Physical Uranium Trust. That is what we want if you're a bull. Right now, we're just resting underneath it. URNM, a little bit of selling pressure today, but I still think this looks fantastic. This is a hammer candlestick. It's usually a short-term reversal candlestick. So we got a bearish engulfing here. We headed lower, and now we're getting a reversal candlestick here, hopefully. I say hopefully because it's not as strong as a bullish engulfing or a bullish piercing, those types of candlesticks that we see in bottoms like this one here. But it's still a hammer candlestick, still a reversal candlestick. Now we want to see those buyers step in and push it on higher. We've got a broken downtrend above support, on and on and on. It looks good. Tan moving sideways, nice little bullish piercing. Hopefully we can get some buying pressure to push us higher. So that looks good. COPX, that's our copper miners ETF. We've got bigger buying pressure, smaller selling pressure. I do think that will resolve itself to the upside with time. Lithium also getting a small down day. Still looks all right. Big bullish engulfings all through here and a bullish piercing. Looks good still. We've got REMX. This still looks good to me. It looks like we're just trying to put in a little short-term bottom and then move higher. We are above these long-term support levels, and it's acting as support. The S&P 500, we do have a down day today, down 0.75%. And from what I remember, it looks pretty good. This is a bullish setup. It is called the Bloody Nose. It's a small down profit-taking day next to a large green candlestick. This looks like it wants to continue higher. So that looks good. Same thing with the U.S. Composite Index. The Bloody Nose looks like it wants to go higher in the short term. EEM, grinding sideways. We have a stronger dollar, stronger DXY. Emerging markets don't like the stronger dollar. They don't like the stronger yields. Their currencies get hit, and everything they make is priced in their currencies. So it's a currency issue here. XHB, another bloody nose that looks like it wants to go higher. Confusing how everyone in the world, or everyone on Twitter, I say the world, everyone in the Twitter world, and these other places all say that we're in this huge home bubble. If it is, I don't know why the home builders are basically strengthening here. They could be wrong. And right now, we've got the broken down trend. Step one. Step two is a higher low. And then we just need to break this high up there for a new uptrend in home builders. We're not there yet. It is following the overall markets. Still looks good. MOO also moving sideways. Broken down trend. Came back here, and it looks like we want to move on higher. That looks good. We're moving sideways to slightly lower in copper. Sideways being we're just kind of grinding sideways here. But we are lower on today's trading action. Still looks all right. I don't see any cause of concern yet. Lumber moving sideways. I do think that this will eventually work its way higher. We've broken out. We're doing a retest move. And then I think lumber will work its way on up. Looking at iron ore gapping lower out of this falling wedge to the downside today. That is a break to the downside. We could see further weakening in iron ore. Aluminum, on the other hand, strengthening today, 2.68%, and we're right at that support level. And then the Baltic Dry Index heading lower today, down 4.84%, getting a little bit lower off of its support resistance area. That's following a little bit of iron ore, although some of the companies were stronger today trading. So that's what I've got for today, guys. That's what I'm seeing in the overall markets. I think that the strength right now is in energy, in particular oil, energy service, and natural gas. Those are the spots that I would be looking myself. If you guys are part of the Finding Value community, I know someone had recommended instead of the website community, you can join on the website, join our community. It is thefinding-value.com. I've got a lot of picks on there for what I think is good. You can look at my portfolio, see what I'm in. Anything in my portfolio is basically a pretty strong pick. You can look at our at this past weekend's platinum question and answer session. You have to be a platinum member to partake in all this, to see my portfolio, to see all this stuff. So we had a really good platinum question and answer session on Saturday, and I go over a lot of different companies. We charted a lot of things, and there's a lot of really good picks in there. A lot of good companies that are putting in really good chart patterns in energy service companies, in exploration production. And we went over a lot of what I thought was some good value there. So good picks for people that brought those up. You can see that it's posted on there in video format. And yeah, that's all I've got, guys. So if you guys like the content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and we'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.